You are watching a football match. It is June 30, 2002. The stadium in Yokohama, Japan is packed with 69,000 people. 1.5 billion people are watching on television. The score is 0-0. Germany is defending. Their goalkeeper, Oliver Kahn, is the best in the world. He has not allowed a single goal in the entire knockout stage. A Brazilian player named Rivaldo shoots from outside the box. Kahn dives. He saves it. But the ball bounces out. It rolls straight toward a man with a number 9 on his shirt. His name is Ronaldo Nazário. Just over 2 years ago, his kneecap exploded. Doctors said he would never play again. Now he has 1 second to decide. His right leg, the leg that was destroyed, swings forward. The ball hits his foot. It flies low, hard, into the corner of the net. Goal. Brazil wins the World Cup. Ronaldo falls to his knees, crying. How did he get here? That is the story you're about to hear. And by the end, you will not only understand the greatest comeback in sports history, you will also improve your English with words like resilience and devastating. This is Learn English Through History. Subscribe now so you do not miss the next lesson. Let us go back to the beginning, to a place where hope was the only currency. Ronaldo Luisa Nazário de Lima was born on September 18, 1976, in Bento Ribeiro, a poor, working-class neighborhood near Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It was a tough place, surrounded by dangerous favelas. A favela is a slum, a very poor community with unpaved dirt roads and houses made of wooden planks and tin sheets. Many children there had no shoes. Ronaldo often had none either. Imagine a small boy, maybe 7 years old, kicking a ball made of rags, old cloth tied together with string, against a chipped concrete wall. His mother, Sonia, calls him for dinner, rice and beans, sometimes nothing else. But the boy does not come. He keeps kicking. His parents divorced when he was 11. Sonia cleaned houses and sold food on the street. Some nights there was only bread and water. But Ronaldo had something money could not buy, a dream. He loved football. In Brazil, football is a religion. Every child wants to be Pelé. When he was 14, he played against grown men in a local match. They pushed him, elbowed him, and stepped on his feet. He fell, got up, and fell again. His knees were scraped, his shirt torn, and blood mixed with mud. He did not cry, he did not quit. That persistence, continuing to try even when things are incredibly hard, defined his entire life. At 14, he joined a small club, São Cristóvão. The coach immediately said, "This boy is special." Then he moved to Cruzeiro, a big club in Belo Horizonte. He was 16, a teenager with braces and a shy smile. At Cruzeiro, he scored 44 goals in 47 games, almost 1 per match. That was unbelievable. European clubs immediately noticed him. First, he moved to PSV Eindhoven in the Netherlands, where he scored 54 goals in 58 games. He was still a teenager, yet already one of the world's best. In 1996, he moved to FC Barcelona. The club paid a world record transfer fee, the money one club pays to buy a player, of about $17 million for the 20-year-old star. At Barcelona, he was unstoppable, scoring 47 goals in 49 games. He was named FIFA World Player of the Year in 1996, the youngest ever. They called him the Alien because his speed and power did not seem human. In 1997, Inter Milan broke the world record again to sign him for about $27 million. Ronaldo became the first player in history to hold the world record transfer fee twice. At 21, he won the Ballon d'Or, the most important individual award in football. But then came the 1998 World Cup in France. Brazil reached the final against the host nation. But hours before the biggest match of his life, something mysterious happened. Ronaldo suffered a terrifying medical convulsion in his hotel room. He was shaking, unconscious, and nearly stopped breathing. Doctors cleared him to play at the last minute. But on the pitch, he was like a ghost. Brazil lost 3-0. He had been Brazil's golden boy, their hero, their king. Now, overnight, he became the man who lost the World Cup. He returned home to silence, no celebration, only questions. Journalists wrote cruel headlines. Fans who once cheered his name now whispered it with disappointment. He was 21 years old, alone in the dark, carrying a weight that no trophy could measure. The pressure was heavy, and his heart was broken. He was at the top of the world, but his nightmare was just beginning. Success is not a straight line. It is a road with many turns. And sometimes, the road completely collapses. In November 1999, Ronaldo suffered a serious knee injury. He rested for months, preparing for his big return. Then came April 12, 2000. Inter Milan faced Lazio in the final of the Coppa Italia. The stadium in Rome was full, over 70,000 people. Ronaldo had just stepped onto the field as a substitute. The crowd buzzed with electric hope. 6 minutes. He played for only 6 minutes. He tried his famous move, a step over, where you wave your foot over the ball to trick the defender. He had done it thousands of times, but when his right foot planted into the grass, his knee completely gave out. His patellar tendon, the strong cord connecting the kneecap to the shin bone, ruptured completely. It tore apart suddenly, snapping with a sound like a wet branch breaking. His physiotherapist later said, his kneecap actually exploded and ended up in the middle of his thigh. Ronaldo fell to the ground, screaming in agony. He covered his face with his hands as tears streamed down. The paramedics rushed onto the field. The stadium fell into a dead silence. At the hospital, the famous surgeon, Dr. Gerard Sallant, told the media, miracles don't exist. He needs at least 8 months to recover. I cannot even say for sure that he will ever play football again. To hear that about a 23-year-old genius was devastating, completely destroying everything. The football world thought his career was over. Many said he was great, but now he is finished. The world had already written his story as a tragedy, but Ronaldo had not finished writing it himself. What would you do if someone told you your dream was dead? Ronaldo chose to fight. Like an ancient gladiator who refused to die in the arena, he began his long rehabilitation, the painful process of recovering after a major injury. Picture this. Every morning at 6 o'clock, he woke up. The room was cold. The hospital was quiet. He did stretching exercises for hours. He lifted small weights, only 1 kilogram at first. His legs shook violently from the weakness. He walked slowly in a swimming pool to protect his joints. He cried in silence many times when the pain became too much, but he never stopped. His mother, Sonia, visited him every single day. She held his hand and said, "You are strong. You will dance on the pitch again." By month 4, he started jogging in a straight line down a long hospital corridor. His knee burned with every step. The doctor told him, "It will hurt. That is normal. Pain is not damage." So he kept running. By month 6, he kicked a football for the first time. It was just a soft 10-meter pass. But when his foot touched the leather, Ronaldo burst into tears. He said later, "It felt like I was born again." It took him nearly 2 full years of agony, but he finally returned to the pitch. And just in time for the 2002 World Cup in South Korea and Japan. At that time, Brazil as a nation was suffering deeply. The economy was in a massive crisis, and unemployment was extremely high. The country desperately needed something to celebrate, something to unite the people. Ronaldo arrived at the tournament with a strange, new haircut. He shaved his entire head except for a small triangular patch at the front, a shape that looked like a tooth. Why? He did it to distract the media. He wanted people to talk about his funny hair, not his injured knee. It worked. Ronaldo played with total freedom. He scored in the group stage against Turkey and China. He scored a powerful goal against Belgium in the round of 16. He scored a clever toe poke against Turkey in the semi-final. Step by step, he was climbing his mountain. Then came the final on June 30th, 2002 against Germany. The pressure was immense. Before the match, Ronaldo was terrified of going to sleep. He was scared that he would have another convulsion like in 1998. So, he stayed up until 4 a.m., talking to his teammate Dida, begging him to keep him awake. He was fighting his own mind. The match was intense. The German goalkeeper, Oliver Kahn, was a wall. But in the 67th minute, Rivaldo shot from distance. Kahn dropped the ball. It bounced out, and there was Ronaldo. He reacted instantly, sliding the ball into the net with his right foot. 1-0. 12 minutes later, the moment of magic arrived. Kleberson carried the ball down the wing and passed it low into the center. Rivaldo saw Ronaldo sprinting behind him, so he cleverly stepped over the ball, letting it roll through his legs. The German defense was completely fooled. Ronaldo took one touch with his right foot, looked up, and smoothly placed it into the bottom corner. 2-0. The game was over. Brazil was the champion of the world. Ronaldo had scored 8 goals, winning the Golden Boot. The comeback was complete. He fell to his knees and let his tears mix with the confetti. It was a victory of overcoming, beating a seemingly impossible problem. Here's what Ronaldo's story teaches us. First lesson. Your background does not decide your future. He was born in poverty near the favelas. He became a global king. Your starting point is never your ending point. Second lesson, pain is temporary. Quitting is permanent. When his knee exploded, the pain was terrible, but he did not quit. The pain ended, but his glory is eternal. Third lesson, big mountains are climbed with incremental steps. Ronaldo did not recover in one day. He used 1 kilogram weights, took one step, and fought one day at a time. Incremental means happening in small amounts over a long time. Fourth lesson, believe in yourself when the experts doubt you. Doctors said miracles do not exist. Ronaldo proved them wrong. You must be your own biggest believer. Fifth lesson, true resilience means rising higher than before. Ronaldo did not just return to play, he returned to conquer the world. That is true resilience, the ability to recover quickly from extreme difficulties. Ronaldo Nazário retired completely in 2011. Today, you learned English to his historic journey. You practiced your listening skills and discovered powerful new words. Here are your vocabulary words for this lesson. Write them down and use them this week. Character and feeling words: resilience, persistence, devastating, overcoming, incremental. Football and career words: comeback, favela, transfer fee, ruptured, rehabilitation. Now I ask you, what will you do the next time you face a problem that feels too big to solve? Will you give up, or will you fight like the boy who refused to be broken? Leave a comment below. One word that describes Ronaldo Nazário. What word would you choose? Subscribe to this channel now so you can improve your language and your life at the same time. Take action today, not tomorrow. See you in the next one.